Self-evaluation 1. Physical skills. What do you find most interesting about your physical performance? What I found most interesting about my physical performance is the way I walked as a jellyfish. I thought that was funny in a way, but I think I could have improved on it by walking as a jellyfish instead of walking as a normal person. Another thing I found interesting was when I moved and I did my facial expressions. I thought that they were quite funny, as I was only supposed to do one facial expression, but I ended up doing about 3. And that's it for physical skills. How could you experiment more with your movement? I feel like I could have maybe had a limp as a jellyfish. I thought it might have been funny to see that maybe they were quite dumb as my character, so that it was funny, but also they kind of felt sorry for my character. What was good about your physicality? I think what was good about my physicality was my wobbling around. I thought this because it was quite different to what I'm used to, and I think the kids would have found it really, really funny. I could have changed my levels while being the jellyfish. I could have walked straight up, and then I could have crouched to show the levels of how a jellyfish would wobble / walk, I guess. It could have shown also that I was being moved by the water. And also my spinning, I thought that was good because it showed that I got took from the current of the water. Have you remembered your movement and blocking? Yes, I remembered all the blocking that we did in the first few lessons when it came to working on my scene. I did kind of get confused when we first did it with the movements I needed to do and where I needed to move to. Do you use appropriate gestures and facial expressions? If so, when, where, and how effective are they? Sometimes I used facial expressions to show that I was reacting to what was happening around me. I didn't use any gestures as I was holding an umbrella with one hand, but I felt like my character didn't really need to have any gestures as it's a jellyfish, so I don't think they would have used any gestures. What could be improved? I feel that my facial expressions could have been improved. I could have just stuck with one, or I could have used my facial expressions to show how I was reacting to what was happening around me. My physicality, I feel like I could have done so much more with my physicality as a jellyfish. I feel like I could have maybe spun around and bumped into another jellyfish. That might have been quite good. And I also feel like I need to, even though I thought my wobbling was good, I still feel like I need to work on how I'm going to wobble and where I'm going to wobble to. Characterization. Are you using appropriate acting techniques? Yes. One of the main things we were taught was to be very, very over the top. So that it would make everything much funnier. Could have used gestures to make it even better. Is it appropriate? Is it a appropriate portrayal of the character? Yeah, I feel like it is, because it's how I feel the character would be, and it's how I imagine that Ned the jellyfish would kind of be like if they were either the jellyfish or the person who was acting like them. I feel like I could have done a lot more though physically with Ned. Think about your age, status, power in relationships, personality and attitude. So I was thinking that Ned was quite a young jellyfish, like he hadn't been around for a while. He was quite new to being one of the King Neptune's loyal jellyfish that helped protect him and everything. I also feel like he'd be low in status because obviously he's like a servant to King Neptune. Power in relationships. I don't feel that Ned would have any power in any relationships because of how young he is and also how dumb he can be. Personality wise, I thought that Ned was quite slow with everything because he wasn't brought up the way that everybody else was brought up. And attitude, I feel like Ned's attitude towards anything is kind of, oh wow, actually I'm learning something, or oh, I don't like that, it's boring me. Can you identify your levels of tension? Do you show your feelings physically? No, I don't feel like you can identify my levels of tension because there's not much that happens during my scene. But in the part where they're talking about the Queen of Morocco, I feel like I should have used that as kind of a level of tension, so it goes from being like really nice and relaxed up to Queen of Sultanas, which is like a 6. Like, is it a bomb? Kind of like the Queen of Sultanas. Like, it's a question and it's quite a loud and kind of query question. Like, who is she? Like, I've never heard of her. Is your character's objectives clear in each scene? If so, what is it? I only have one scene as Ned the jellyfish, so I feel that he didn't really have any objectives to make clear apart from obviously to protect King Neptune and also to help him as well if he needed anything. Are your acting techniques appropriate to the style of performance, entrance, stance, exits, and audience interaction? I feel that it was because everything needed to be over the top for this style of performance. It was to children, so they needed everything to be big and bold and fun. My entrance, I feel, was good because I walked up from the green room stairs and swirled around and went to stand over the left hand side of King Neptune, and from there I just wobbled and wobbled. I didn't really have any audience interaction. I feel like I could have gone into the audience more. That would have been better so that the kids can actually kind of see what I was doing and that I was a jellyfish, so they could be quite scared or they could be amused. Do you use a range of emotions and actions to meet your character's objectives? I don't really use emotions, but the ones that I used was happiness, confusion and sadness, as I feel that that's what my jellyfish would have been feeling emotionally. But yeah, as I said in a previous question, I didn't really have any objectives, so this is kind of what I did. Do you react to other characters on stage? Yes, I do. There's another jellyfish on stage with me called Colin, and every time we bumped into each other we buzzed, like we'd electrocuted each other. And I was repeating everything that King Neptune said to make it seem like it was our job to do that, to try and get the most important things that he said across.